7:19 right now. Joining us is Chris Lewis, a criminal defense attorney at Crane, Lewis, and Brogdon. We thought we'd get Chris on to talk about Ken Paxton's decision, his opinion that came down yesterday. The daily fantasy sports betting, things like DraftKings, that it's illegal, that it's illegal gambling. And Chris, to the letter of the law here in the state of Texas, would you agree with him?
I think I would. I'm leaning towards that, but if you look at the statute, it's really confusing. I think what he's relying on is the definition of a bet, and the way the law here in Texas defines a bet is an agreement to win or lose something something of value based solely or partially on chance. And so he's really grabbing on to, well, there is some chance involved. And if you read his opinion, he talks about players being ejected from games. He talks about weather and things that are beyond the control. So reading the law as he's laid it out there, I would tend to agree. But I think that there's plenty of room for some argument in there based upon what a bet is not. That's also laid out there in the penal code.
And this all kind of hinges on that partial chance, right? There may be some skill involved in it, but there is the partial chance that you can't control.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And if you really think about it, there is nothing that you could potentially wager on where there's not some element of chance.
Right.
Think long and hard enough. Everything can include, well, even if you talk about you go and you pay for insurance, you're making a bet, the insurance company is making a bet, you're providing something of value, but what they've done in the penal code is they've specifically named insurance and said, well, this doesn't constitute a bet. But, the other thing when we're talking about based, whether this is skill-based or chance-based, that's what the daily fantasy sites are saying. This is a game of skill.
Well, and didn't the Texas legislature say that? Didn't they say that it's a game, that these sites are daily fantasy sports are a game of skill?
They did, and I think that Ken Paxton also, it's a non-binding opinion, also came out and said, well, yeah, there may be a ton of skill involved, but the way that he's reading the law is that if there's any chance whatsoever, then it constitutes illegal gambling.
But to bottom line this, if you have a football team that you've drafted, okay, and you've got an offense and you've got a team, and you place a bet that this team is going to win or lose, that's gambling.
That's gambling.
About it. There's no way around it. That's gambling. You're hoping to make some money on a bet.
That's true. And this is a little bit different because you're not betting on a team.
Yeah, that doesn't apply here.
But you're betting on the people that you've drafted.
You're competing.
Yes,
you're competing with someone else. You're not betting. You're competing.
Okay. Well, I'm just okay.
And what the owners of these sites are saying is this is a game of skill, and Texas law says that a bet is not something where you receive actual compensation for a bona fide contest of skill. And that's what really I think this comes down to. Is this a game of skill or is this a game of chance? And if you read the very last line or towards the end of the opinion, he kind of lets himself off the hook, Ken Paxton that is, and he says, well, this is really for the legislature to decide because they can specifically name these daily fantasy sites and say that these do not constitute gambling. So what he's really done is he's thrown the ball back into their court.
Why would Texas Hold'em not fall under this? Is it because you don't know the cards you're dealt, that there's the chance that comes in?
Why would they not fall under what? Why
would it not be considered a game of skill?
Oh, because the same thing. We watch World Series of Poker and everything all the time. You never know what card is actually going to come out. We'll see that the odds are 90% that this individual is going to win, 10% that this individual is going to win based upon the cards. But until that last card is dealt, you have no idea what it's going to be. So Texas is taking the same position. It is at least partially a game of chance, so it's illegal gambling.
Kenny Rogers said every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
There you go.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah, it really was.
Pretty deep.
Hey, thanks for clearing some of this up, though, Chris. It's going to be interesting to see. By the way, Mark Cuban, who's already said he's going to invest in one of these companies, came out totally against this, ruling by Ken Paxton yesterday.
So if it's for chance, it's illegal. If it's skill. So in other words, you could gamble on, say, a pool tournament or bowling.
Yeah, I don't know that you
that's
can
skill.
Technically.
Playing
I mean,
pool
that's
is
like
skill.
Well, yeah, I mean that's like saying horse racing. The horse has skill, but you're just betting on the horse. I mean, there's a lot you can't control there. That's that partial chance they talk about.